light streak right through the middle of your
Yeah,
face.
that's because on yours you're actually seeing me on my MacBook camera, but on the podcast itself I'm on my
Okay.
webcam. So the webcam looks good, and that is what we call a cold open. So welcome back to the week 4 episode of the TCL podcast. I'm your host, the commish Mario, and I have with me a former finalist, a former South Irving League alumni, second time on the show.
Second time on the show.
It's Taylor
I'll
Webb.
finish your montage. Just an all-around Hall of Famer. Um,
Yeah, sorry.
not,
Let
not,
me continue my speech as I was rudely interrupted. Uh, Number 1 in your hearts, number 3 in your butts. It's Taylor Webb. Taylor, welcome to the show. I'll put in some applause audio after this.
oh, thanks for having me. I was gonna say that's what the pod's missing. It's missing a lot of sound
I
effects.
know. I need drops. You know. I should what I should have done is a missed opportunity. Is next year I will just record. You know, if somebody says something funny or they just like I'll take something out of context and then I'll just turn it into a drop and then play it for other people.
You'd add like, breaking news or, sound effects like
Well, you know, we're still a pretty simple operation right now. I'm having to self fund this, so
once you get up to an average of 20 views a week, then
yeah.
we'll
Once you know, if I can get to 25 views. Hey, by the way, that's a good reminder. If you're watching this video, hit the like button. The algorithm likes that. Also, smash the subscribe button. I think it's down there, or it might be right here, or right here. Smash the subscribe button, and then also, yeah, I think that's all you're supposed to do.
that's it. Tune in weekly.
Tune in weekly and give it. Oh yeah, leave a comment and tell us what you think. Anything you want to see on the show, let us know. You want to go into it, or you have any initial thoughts as you open up your episode of the week of the season?
My initial thoughts are it's a rough season so far for me
Yeah,
personally.
is the
It's gonna
background
be a,
symbolic of
it's
your?
gonna it's gonna be the theme of this episode is how it's such a dumpster fire season for me
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
how fantasy is a cruel mistress and she'll take everything away from you if
She
you're not
really
careful.
will, including your children, I think. So you better watch out for that one.
Yeah. But that's the theme of the episode is dumpster fire
It's
and be
the
careful.
it's
It
the
can happen to
dumpster
anybody.
fire episode. Is there a Seinfeld reference that we can equate to this?
I wish. If I think of one,
One
I'll
of,
bring it up.
one of my favorite, shout out to the Ringer Fantasy Football podcast. One of my favorite bits they do every week is they have the Costanza play of the week or whatever. So it's like, it's like whatever you think you're supposed to do, you do the opposite. So it's, yeah, so they call it like the Costanza or whatever. So, you know, they'll be talking about starting Kyle Pitts and they're like, it's a Costanza because you don't want to start him, but then you do and he scores 3 points or whatever.
I think we have a couple of those moments this week from some of the managers that they
Yes.
should have pulled a Costanza.
They should have. This season has been. That's a great segue into week 4 because this season has been all about when you think you're supposed to do something. One good thing you did was drafted the Dallas Cowboys defense early. Did you not? I think you drafted them like 8th round or 9th round or
I
something
did,
like
and I
that.
got a lot of flack for that too.
Yeah. Did you know? I actually learned this today that the Dallas Cowboys defense has scored 80 points this year. And the only person who scored more, I'm pretty sure, is Justin Jefferson, who has 86 points. So you basically have the WR1 as your defense.
Knew it.
What's your record
Knew
again?
it all. Knew it all along.
So just whenever you think you know everything, just know you don't. You know. So
Might pull a Costanza this week and not start them too.
not
So
start the Cowboys defense. I think you should start them, but I sell big on the 49ers. They haven't played anybody. Everybody wants to
yeah,
say
the
the
Cow
Cowboys haven't played anybody, but
they
I don't
haven't.
know.
But
Yeah, they played.
well,
They played the Cardinals.
but the Cardinals, who are actively trying to lose, I
They are
feel like
not trying to lose. They are trying to win.
every game they get up, and then something happens, and they either lose, and against the Cowboys, they did their best to try to lose, and they still won.
They're just not that great, you know. They're just not
Yeah,
that great.
exactly. Not a closer.
Speaking of losing, you want to jump into a little picks with friends and see how the
Yeah,
league is doing?
it's the
I
one thing I was
know
good at.
that is one thing you were pretty good at because last week you finished at a whopping. I'm just gonna spoil it. 8-2 last week. So shout out to Taylor for saving the league from falling behind big to me. I finished 6-4, so not a bad week. Another positive week for me, but I went 9-1 last week, so hard to follow that up. You want to go
Hey,
over some of those games?
yeah, let's do it. Let's jump in.
All right, so first game was Jags Falcons. Did you watch any of the Toy Story game? Do you have Disney Plus?
I did not. I attempted to, but then I realized it was on ESPN Plus, Disney Plus, and
Mm-hmm.
one, I don't have a child, so I don't have Disney Plus. Two, I'm not going to pay ESPN, so did not see that. Got to see some fun Toy Story clips though online about it. It seemed like it was not a close game. I don't know what the final score was, but it seemed like Jags played well in front of their future home of London.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, and yeah, I mean that was pretty predictable. I don't expect the Falcons to win more than 4 games this year. So
It's only a matter of time, I think, until Desmond Ritter is not the quarterback there. That was one of the
no,
easiest bets I've ever made was betting on him to throw an interception, and he threw two. So I probably should
he
have bet
did.
on two, including a pick
He is.
six, which looked pretty cool on the Toy Story broadcast. Not gonna lie, I
Oh
just
yeah,
happened to be on the. I'd flipped over to it to check it out, and he threw the pick six right at that moment, and it was. I was like, damn, that was kind of awesome, actually. And then about 5 seconds later, I was like, okay, I'm done with this because they have Joe Tessitore and Bug trying to do like serious NFL commentary on a kids channel.
I like the SpongeBob one they did about a couple years back. Was that last year?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. But that one was still like you're still watching the game, and they just put like slime around it or whatnot. This one
Yeah,
was
I'm here for it.
this one was I mean, it's like Trevor Lawrence throws a pass and oh, there's Zerg and he's gonna take the ball away from him or you're like, what the hell's
I think
going on?
I guess that's Nickelodeon, not like ESPN or something, or
No,
not
yeah,
Disney.
they stole Nickelodeon's bit and then just like tripled down on it.
Mm.
Classic ABC, Disney, and ESPN.
A bit that never gets old. Slime. They've been sliming people for decades,
I'm pretty sure they've been sliming people since before I was born.
right?
Yeah, no,
Bad Bunny. I saw
that is a
Bad
very
Bunny
good
got
point.
slimed.
Oh, did he?
So did Yeah. So did like President Clinton. Like it was like
Yeah, that
one of the
checks
first.
out. Dude, they love that slime down in Florida. Orlando can't get enough of the slime.
I remember they used to sell the slime, and it was just like cornstarch and uh,
Don't they still
oil,
do that, or don't
water
they
or something.
like don't they have
Probably
a thing where kids make it or something?
kids make it, ingest it, they
No,
become
no, I
slime.
mean serious. Like they do like a thing where oh shit. Um, I thought I deleted all the notes for the podcast just a second ago. That's live, ladies and gentlemen. We're live, except we're not
Wow,
live. We're recording live on tape.
Mario almost
Uh,
freaked out.
he almost saw me cry live on air. No, they had like those kits where anyway. Um, so Jags kicked the Falcons' ass, yes, on Sunday morning, and then the next one was another ass kicking, but not as fun. Bills Dolphins, which was kind of the most anticipated game of the week.
That was. I think that's the one game we differed on in the NFL game. You picked Dolphins, I picked Bills.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mostly picked Bills. 'Cause their defense is pretty good.
Were they at
I mean,
home?
and
They were at home, right? I didn't watch one second
they're
of that game.
they were at home. I watched it through Red Zone. I
Okay.
mean, especially in the first half, it was a pretty good game. Second half was not good. at least for the Dolphins.
Hmm.
It was an absolute ass kicking in terms of like the defensive line just destroyed them, or it's destroyed Tua. I think he
Yeah.
got sacked for like the second time this season, which is an insane statistic. But
Wow.
uh,
Yeah, I mean, I personally was betting big against the Dolphins at the beginning of the year because I thought that exact thing would play out, where they would just get too much pressure. They would have enough time to throw it deep, which they love to do. But the Bills definitely exposed some weaknesses there.
I think one thing with the NFL, right? Divisional opponents, anything can happen.
Age old
Uh,
truth.
Actual truth. I mean, Washington almost beat the Eagles. Just play a little bit differently. I think Bills wanted to flex their muscle a bit, so
Now
they did.
I'm sure they're tired of people telling them that they're not that great, and they're not as good as the Chiefs and all that. Especially after last year when they got knocked out early in the playoffs when they had Super Bowl aspirations.
They're one of those teams. Uh, I don't know if I want to root for them or not. I'm indifferent.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm rooting for them, but I'm definitely probably not rooting against them. So I guess we'll see. I think overall I like their what's the word, merits, I guess, or like I like their chances for the long term in terms of the real NFL season. For fantasy, if you had Stephon Diggs, you were and Josh Allen, you were loving life because they both went off.
And both of those players reside on one team, so
Oh, did Joe
Joe,
Wise do that again?
yeah,
He did that
he
last year and
loved.
it didn't work out as good, but this year I guess it's working out.
Yeah, I think he got a whopping what was it, like 70 points or something stupid.
Jeez. Yeah, well I'm facing them this week, so we can talk about that in a little bit, but not not looking great.
What are the games? I guess we had Ravens,
Ravens.
Browns.
I was about to ask you Ravens Browns, and I think that
I
was an ass
also
kicking too, wasn't it?
I watched that game closely just because I have Lamar Jackson and Deshaun Watson didn't start, and then the Browns just fell apart. So that was an ass kicking. Um,
Which is kind of surprising because he hasn't even really been that great, right? But I guess he's just good enough compared to who they started. Who they start? Didn't they start like the?
some guy with three names. I don't know. Most of the
Yes,
time,
that's
when you
right.
start a guy at quarterback with three names, it does not work out well for you.
It's odds are probably not going to work out great. So yeah, that's a good point. So yeah, that was a tough one for the Ravens. Then it was Vikings and why am I blanking on who the Vikings played?
Carolina.
Oh my god! I picked this game to pick from because I thought it would just be like kind of funny. Like we're gonna talk about this game like it was like, oh man, what a game it turned out to be, and but it still was like god awful to watch, wasn't it?
It was actually closer in the first half, I think, and then they had a Carolina had a big old whoopsie, I think, happened to them, and it was like a fumble return for a touchdown for the Vikings, and then they just like finally pounced on them.
Wasn't it Bryce
Both,
Young who fumbled?
yeah.
Tough one for the rookie. Yeah, Kirk Cousins had
Who
11
is
points
who is the worst fantasy starting quarterback this year so far?
of the
Bryce Young
starters of the
of the
starters.
starters.
But also he
Yes,
missed a game, so that partially doesn't help as well.
he did miss a game. So trivia question for you:
Okay.
who is the worst? Without looking it up, who's the worst fantasy quarterback through
No.
4 weeks without missing a week?
Oh God. Oh, I know this one because they're on my team. It's Kenny Pickett. Is it not Kenny
Uh,
Pickett?
it's not Kenny Pickett.
Oh my God. Is it Joe Burrow?
It's Joe Burrow,
Yeah. I have a
first round
very,
pick.
I have a very similar team to you in this league, in a different league, and literally both of my quarterbacks are Kenny Pickett and Joe Burrow. So we're killing it, doing great, guys.
Trivia question of the week.
That was
Saw that the other.
Yeah, that's a good one. And honestly, um, if you were to bet, even with the injury, I still would have bet on Joe Burrow to um, be that bad, but he can't move. Like they should just bench him because he can't fucking move. So it's just it's not
I don't know
great.
what's going on.
Next one was Cowboys Pats. That one was, man. All these were blowouts,
I know.
and the
That
Cowboys
was one
won.
too.
Of course, we're gonna pick the Cowboys. I picked the Cowboys every single week this year.
Patriots are a disaster.
Yeah, I was talking to somebody about it was a Patriots fan earlier today, and he had a lot of copium trying to justify that they weren't as bad. I'm like, no, they're pretty bad.
No, Matt
But you know
Jones is done.
what?
Matt Jones is done.
I can't really feel bad
Oh
for
yeah.
the Patriots, so fuck them.
Point I was going to add earlier. Speaking football, I'm glad that that division is competitive for the most part outside of the Patriots, because that was literally the worst division in football. I don't know. This I could be making it up.
The
I feel
AFC
like
East.
statistics. Yeah, AFC East like win loss over like 20 years, basically Tom
Oh
Brady's
yeah, yeah,
career. Probably the worst division in football.
yeah. Hot take: Brady wouldn't have won half of those playoffs if he played in this division today.
Ooh, we're making enemies. That's how you're going to gain followers.
Well, I don't need people from Boston watching this video because they're gonna be catching strays left and right. Don't well go back to the past episodes. Me and Boston have it. We I need to have it out with them. Let's go to the Swift Bowl, or whatever you want to call it. The most I don't care about this anymore. Please stop talking about it. Bowl, Chiefs Jets on Sunday night. Did you see the little like Carson Daly trying to explain football to like Taylor Swift fans at the beginning of the game?
No, I didn't watch a second of the game.
Oh, good.
Um,
Okay, well then you probably did yourself a big favor.
I watched a little bit of highlights, but I think I mostly just watched memes about it, and I think they had like a counter of like who got more airtime, Taylor Swift or Aaron Rodgers.
Or Zach Wilson,
Uh,
who's literally on the field and probably got less airtime than Taylor Swift did.
right. Um, Conspiracy theory time.
Okay.
Uh, I heard that only reason she went to the game was to offset like her flack she's been getting for her private jet use, and just how it's so bad for the environment or whatever, to like bury her like SEO story on Google. So now when you Google Taylor Swift jets, it comes up with that game instead of uh, some like
Oh.
scandalous story.
Okay, I was about to ask, does that refer to just overall her just being at Travis Kelce's games in general, like the whole story, or just this specific game?
I think this specific
So
game.
what if I order? What if I Google not order? What if I Google Taylor Swift plane? Is that not
I
gonna?
don't know. I don't know. You'll.
Did that just poke a hole in your conspiracy? Google that right now.
I still think the conspiracy. I think I shared it in our group chat that she's a known Eagles fan. She's gonna break Travis's heart on the Super Bowl day when they
Well,
play the Eagles again.
I think it was Nick
And
who said that also, and I told him that it wasn't going to matter because the Eagles aren't playing in the Super Bowl this year.
ooh,
So
she's she's got an insurance policy.
yeah, that's
Either
fair.
way, either way, if they make it to the Super Bowl, she's gonna try to take him down out of revenge.
Well, you know what? If
Uh,
I know my boy Travis, he's gonna dump her before like week 14, before it starts to really heat up.
right.
And hopefully, we never have to hear about Taylor Swift during football ever again. This is why I watch football. I don't want to hear about Taylor Swift. I want to watch football.
Yeah, it's a bad bit. It's a bad bit.
That is a bad bit. Speaking of bad bits, let's go
Worse
to
than Toy Story.
let's go to the
See more,
TCL
see more. Let's
bits.
let's see more slime, less Taylor Swift.
More slime, less Taylor Swift. That needs to be the headline of this episode, honestly. Like when you do the little clip, you know how you can make the YouTube short? It's just going to be you saying, more slime, less Taylor Swift. And then I'm going to like superimpose slime coming up, like just all over you. You're like, oh God, it's everywhere. Yeah. All right. Speaking of it's everywhere, Andy versus Mario in the Battle of Titans, future playoff teams. You
Mm.
picked me smartly. I picked Andy to curse him and it worked. I won, but I lost, but I won. Can we just talk quickly about how my team is possibly one of the luckiest teams in the league going right now?
It is. I counted earlier how many teams would have beat you, and I think it was like six of the league teams would have beat you. But that's what happens.
You
I
know
would have
what?
beaten.
No, no, no. Go ahead. Finish your thought.
I said, vice versa. I would have beaten everyone except for Joe and Grant, right? And then I had a soul crushing 0-4 start.
Yeah, this happened to me
Um,
last year because if I go back to standings last year, um, I started off 0-5 in our league. Managed to scrounge my way into 8 wins, but not from lack of bad luck. So, you know what? This is all just payback. And I don't care what anybody else says. This is how fantasy goes. If you've never played fantasy more than 3 years, you would know this. So,
it's very
you know
true.
this. So, uh,
I started 0-6 and made it to the championship, which is probably going to happen again. Um,
we'll see about that one. Maybe need to see something out of your boys in the next couple weeks. But needless to say, I recognize got lucky again.
uh,
Good matchup, but
yeah,
maybe
I
this
don't
next
know.
week is
I
my
don't,
luck runs out.
is Andy's team finally exposed uh, for what it is? Fails to hit 100.
Yeah, I mean he had a lot of bad breaks, right? Like Chris Olave had a really bad game. George Kittle had a really bad game. Uh, Derek Carr had
Okay.
an awful game. He should not have played. Derek Carr should not have played.
That's-
Um,
He got 25 from his kicker
and
defense
even
combo.
you know what is the one uh, good thing that came out of Chiefs Jets slash Andy's matchup is that I convinced him on Sunday to make his first bet, and he bet on he
Oh no.
he made a he made a parlay, and I think I can't remember the other two of the maybe or one of the legs, but two of them were involved. Zach Wilson throws an interception, and Patrick Mahomes throws an interception, and I think the other one's like Chiefs win.
Did he
And
did he win money?
no, because Zach Wilson didn't throw an interception. The one thing that you thought this is for sure. There's no reason you could ever lose this.
This man is trying to find God and purge his life of vices, trying to be a good boy, and here you are
I'm
adding
just trying to just break it
evil
down.
vices to him.
Oh,
Andy, be careful, man.
be careful who your friends are. His mom was there too.
Maybe you should. Andy, just only bet on like Cowboys outcomes uh,
Andy, I'll be over next
until you're
weekend.
stronger.
I'll be over on Sunday to help you make some more bets, okay, bud? Don't worry. Don't listen to Taylor. Trust me.
He's rich.
He can
He
afford
can
it.
spend. He can afford it.
All right, next one was Jory versus Maish, and this one was actually very intriguing because Maish was 2-1, Jory was 1-2, so it was kind of like this is kind of separate these teams down the stretch, but Jory finally gets a good outcome from Justin Fields. And even though Maisha's team put up a good fight, had some good performances, Garrett Wilson looked okay. Um, he left
Yeah,
Kyron Williams on the bench and McLaurin. Uh,
scary Terry. I
tough for
think your
Maish.
big brain did a little too much on that one.
Yeah, to be
Those
fair,
are
Kyron Williams had a terrible game last week, but the
yeah.
matchup really favored him this week, and yeah, he could have used that one because 27 points gives him the win. So that might actually pull an audible for our awards. Um,
Oh,
we'll see. Stay tuned.
to to come. Uh, since I played Maishin this week, Maishin, I think he did a great job. Uh, Stick with the current lineup. Don't let us tell you.
Yeah, trust your
Don't
gut.
let Mario tell you what to do.
I didn't tell him what to do at all. I didn't.
I'm telling right now, right?
He's. You're like I'm
Double down,
talking to my shit. Don't interrupt.
double down. I mean, Jalen Jalen Hurts is playing the Rams. Terrible idea to start him. So I mean, put him on your bench. and
Are you playing him
proves
next
wrong.
week? Is that what this is about?
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay. Well, you're about to go 1-5. Let's not get too ahead of ourselves. Maish, good job. I think your team underperformed a little bit. Your projection looked good. Maybe start Kyron Williams next time. Trust him. He's playing 95% of the snaps. Look. Hey, by the way, here's a fun tip. Not a fun tip. Smart tip for our fantasy football players in this league. Look up snap percentage. Snap percentage tells you the amount of time that a player is on the field. If he's not on the field, he can't score points. So if you see a guy who's playing 95% of the time, chances are, trust him. He's probably going to do something with it. If he's not going to be 95% of the time, it's because he sucks and his coach doesn't trust him. There you go.
95% is a lot.
Especially
Um,
for a running back. Because most
yeah.
running backs nowadays are getting split touches. Almost every backfield is a split touch, except for
Let's say I feel like most players are like 80, like starters.
yeah. I
I'm not
mean,
seeing.
just as an example, right? Like the only person I see snap percentage for Christian McCaffrey last week, 85%. Snap percentage for Kyron Williams last week was okay. Never mind. Just kidding. He was 72% this past week. But the
Oh,
previous week he was 100. And the previous week before that, he was 95.
yeah.
So he was a little bit hurt. I think that's why he came out. So he's going to play. Trust him. That's my advice. All right, next one. We both picked Mish, by the way. We both got it wrong. Sorry, Mish. We also, speaking of picking it right, though, both picked Joe. Joe, you're welcome, by the way. It's the last time I'm picking you. This week is definitely me versus Joe Wise week, both on Cowboys 49ers and
Mhm.
fantasy. So I got nothing nice to say about Joe. He's got a good team. Hope they underperform. And so do the 49ers, and hope the same thing happens there too.
Yeah, I mean, just got a good team. Got very lucky in terms of uh, I think Nick was the least efficient manager. We'll,
71%
we'll,
efficiency.
we'll circle back to that, but yeah, I mean, I think he could have scored like a bunch of points. So dodged a bullet there, but still scored 160, which gets you the win.
Hard to complain when you score 166. So hard to knock that, I should say. But yeah, definitely a good job from Joe. That's all I'm gonna say. Joe, it's Joe hate week. You know what I mean? Like I've crossed out all the J's in my house.
Don't even say any words that start with
I
J.
don't even say yeah. So that's all I have to say on that one. Now, last but not least, this was probably the most epic matchup of the weekend, and I was watching this one closely. I don't know if you were. Tony versus Aaron, a playoff rematch from last year, if I recall correctly. Maybe not.
No, no, I beat Tony for round one.
Okay,
Okay,
but
I think I lost
two
Aaron.
teams with championship pedigrees for sure, and
Yeah.
Aaron's team was going for their first win of the year, so needed this one badly to not drop to 0-4. Playing Tony, who was 2-1. Uh, yeah, I mean Josh Jacobs, Isaiah Pacheco, AJ Brown. I mean, tough for Tony to have AJ Brown go 39 points and still lose, but
I mean, I think he was projected to win the game up until like maybe the last like 5 minutes of that game on Monday night.
you know it's a underrated play that people won't remember, but I remember because this changed the course of this game. Was Giants Seahawks on Monday night? Uh, the drive that Geno Smith came out, there was a pass to Noah Fant that Drew Lock threw, and Noah Fant ran down the sideline like 52 yards, almost scored a touchdown. They called it a touchdown at the beginning, and then they were like, "Oh no, his knee was down, no touchdown." They get the ball at the 1 yard line, and what they do, they handed it off to Kenneth Walker. Touchdown
Mm.
goes to Kenny Walker instead of Noah Fant. If Kenny Walker doesn't get a touchdown, That's your game, right? 153 to 150. So those 6 points, huge. And I watched that happen, and all I could think of in my head, besides my bet, was, man, that may have just won him the game.
That's tough. Yeah, especially when you're watching stuff like that. I had a similar part. Obviously, it wasn't like deciding the my game, but I think like Brian Robinson, I'm like watching. I'm like really need a touchdown from him. He's like going to score, and then he fumbles like right on the goal line, and like someone else like Terry
Oh,
McLaurin like picked it up. Oh man, I was so pissed.
I saw
Um,
that, and they gave him the touchdown. Like, he would actually still score a touchdown, so like the team's happy, but you're like, needed that. They needed those points. Yeah, that's a tough one with fantasy. There's a lot of times where you need a team to. There was a lot of people who were mad at Patrick Mahomes for sliding at that very last play against the Jets
I
last
bet.
on Sunday night
Yeah.
because he could have scored a touchdown, didn't, just slid to run out the clock, and that would have covered some bets, helped some people in fantasy, the whole bit. So
Don't these players know? Don't they know they need to
they know. They should know
score
what butters
touchdown?
their bread. They should know what
Yeah,
butters their bread.
right. It's like I think the one of the best plays that was like super rigged. I think week one, right? The Rams like kicked a field goal like
Oh yeah, that was week two, but yeah.
down like 14 or something like that,
And then
just
they
to like
try to tell us that
hit the spread.
they try to tell us that they just lost track of time, and that's what it was. So okay,
Ooh.
sure, Sean McVay,
It's
sure.
Super Bowl winning coach Sean McVay.
Needless to say, it was a good week of football for picks with friends. I can't say the same for NFL, but an exciting week of TCL action once again. So to update the league for week 4, we're 4 weeks through here. I am 26-14 for the season. The league is now 23-17 thanks to Taylor's 8-2 week. So next week we'll see what happens. Next week is Jory. So I'm curious to
Oh,
see.
come on, Jory.
We might have the longest episode ever next week. So just fair warning.
Keep it brief, Jory.
All right.
You too, Mario.
Yeah, I know. That's what I meant. It's not just him; it's me too. So let's go over week 4. I know we talked about most of these too, but I got a couple random kind of questions for you for the long term outcome. But any other kind of notable call outs, any funny moments, kind of things you noticed from this week going into week 5 from the week 4 action?
About the league or about
Yeah, TCL,
NFL?
TCL.
Um, no, I mean it was nice to see some. I would say just looking at the league standings and whatnot gives me hope that I'm still only 2 wins away from third place. Right? I think it's going to be a close league. It's any given Sunday, right? Toss up. I don't think projections. I think if anything, the projections are not accurate at all.
No,
Um,
not great.
no, they're like I think we always outscore the projections unless someone just like team completely shits the bed, right? So I think it's more about matchups than projections. And yeah, no, I'm excited. I think we're a quarter of the way through or so, but we still have 10 weeks left.
Yep.
Uh, and then bye weeks start this week. So,
Yes. Bye week start
which
this week, so
this is
uh,
when you learn. This is when you earn your medal as a manager, having to deal around the bye weeks. So I think some people are going to get possibly exposed um, after a strong start bye weeks, and then combination of injuries. How you manage around that? I think first 4 weeks is a lot about the draft. Obviously, my draft was crap slash injuries.
but you got some
So
guys coming back. You got Cooper Cup getting activated
I
off IR soon. Sean
don't know. I
McVay
don't know.
kind of made it sound like he might play.
We'll see. I don't know. I doubt he plays against Philly, but he'll probably come back against Arizona the week after. Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll get into that, but yeah, I think it's starting to happen, right? Where people got to like really decide who they want to start. And waivers are. I was top of the waiver this week, and I think the top waiver like wanted acquisition was a defense. Uh,
Yeah, this week was a bad week to have it for sure because it was last week was the getting was good. There was plenty of there was a
no,
couple there was a
this,
great receiver. Typically, I think in our league it wasn't. Tank Dell was already taken, but in most leagues Tank Dell was still available, as was Achan. But yeah, this week was definitely tough in terms of the waiver wire. But I think to your point on the bye weeks, one thing to note is because of our bench sizes, I think there will be some good players getting dropped because people are just going to be forced to do it. Like I'm probably going to have to do that myself personally, unless I draft some stashes that I have. So it's some hard decisions to be made, but I think it'll be exciting. Quick update on that before I jump into the questions. So I have a little fantasy projector kind of thing that tells me like what certain statistics say. So right now, out of the six projected teams, Grant's team has the highest playoff odds at 93%. Uh, Joe, and I both have 89% likelihood of making the playoffs. Um, Joe actually has the highest likelihood of being the champion at 23%. Next highest being
wow.
Grant at 17. Um, and then from the playoff odds, on the teams that are currently outside the playoff picture looking in, the highest is Nick's team with 45% likelihood, so almost to 50-50. Aaron's team with 44. Tony Bussy Latina's, or the future to be named team, fantasy football team, 34%. And then you still have 14%, so I know it's not the greatest likelihood, but I was literally in that exact position last year. So I think I made it to where I was.
Been here before. I think
Yeah,
you showed me that thing, and I think the biggest thing though, surprise is I think it's like Grant. They had Grant finishing at like 9-5. He's already
yes.
full renowned.
Where he's
So
4-0 right now, you're saying how is he gonna How is he gonna lose five
they're
more
ex-
times?
they're expecting him to finish 5-5 through the next 10 weeks.
There's 10 games. There's 10 games left. A lot can happen. Injuries. NFL is a finicky thing. So thinking you can predict it is probably a losing proposition. So
Uh,
yeah. Okay. So good week 4. Let's jump into some of these questions. Now some of these are kind of funny, and then some of these are a little bit, I guess, more serious. So
ooh.
here's the first one. Uh, Who do you think is the most likely candidate to almost run a beer mile? So basically, get to the final of the beer mile, but then somehow sneak it out and win in the beer mile final.
I'm gonna exclude myself.
Fair,
So I've already
fair.
predicted that I'm gonna make the playoffs, or yeah, at least win week one. My team's set up for a late push, so uh, I'm going to say uh, I feel like we're gonna have a an old roommate duel. I know y'all have Andy predicted to make the playoffs, but I think he's gonna have a tough stretch, especially when the bye weeks come. And then if any injury curveballs, because he's got like six tight ends on his bench.
Well, he's got
So,
plenty of candidates to drop and pick people up. To be honest,
so I'm gonna go a Fappy Baby 089289, which I still don't understand what it stands for. That, that's it.
do you want me to explain that what that is actually? So it is.
Yeah.
You were. I don't know if you were there. We were playing trivia. Shout out to David who showed me Sporkle Party where you could play trivia on your phone. So it, like you host a party on the app, and then it gives you a
Oh yeah.
code, and so the code was that number. But Andrew didn't know how to enter the code correctly, so he just named his team or his like name in the whatever.
Oh,
He named his team
I,
that,
I think
and
I
he's
was
like,
that.
"It's not working. It's not working." We're like, "Yeah, it's because you're changing your name. You're not putting in the code to the party." So
Little do we know that's actually his like uh, debit card PIN number.
he's like, "How do they know that?"
It was like they'll never get it. Oh, hey, here we go. Seinfeld moment of the episode. Uh,
Okay, yes, finally.
uh, uh, George is hounded all week by his girlfriend to share his PIN code, and he won't do it. He says they say to share your PIN under no circumstances, and his code is whatever the combination. It's like how you do it on the pad for Bosco. It's basically like Nesquik,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and it's building and building all episode, and to the point where there's like um, a fire at the bank, and it's like one of those old New York banks where there's like you go in and the ATM's like inside like a glass room, and like since the fire is going on, the door's locked and the guy can't get out, and his like sleeve is stuck in the ATM. He's like, "It ain't my card. I need a card." And they're like, "George, give him your card." And
And,
there's like, "What's your pen?"
and
And he's like,
he doesn't give it. He's like, I'm not giving it to
I
you.
think he finally gives it. They don't show it. But the only person he had shared his code with was Elaine's boss's dying mother, and it was her last words. And she says Bosco, and then dies. And he's like, "What does Bosco mean?" And he finally figures out what Bosco means at the end, and he thinks George killed his mother. Uh, so, Andy, next time I see you, you better keep that card away from me. I'm gonna swipe it and give it a try.
And he's not going to use it on a card reader if you catch my drift. Uh, no, that's. I actually tried to explain that episode to Maishan the other day, and then I didn't remember exactly what happened. So I just kind of was like, "Yeah, it's just like an ATM thing." So he kind of just stared at me, and I stared at him, and
And he just walks away.
it was just okay. Well, see you later.
Great
Um,
story.
yeah,
There you go. There's your Seinfeld moment of the episode.
I love it. Okay, so you think Aaron is gonna sneak his way out of it, or Andy's gonna sneak his way out of it? Just to clarify, I don't
I
know if you actually clarified.
Oh, I don't know if I clarified. No, and I just picked who the final's going to be.
I like the matchup. I do. I think if I don't get my
I think
way
I think
with
I think Andy finds a way to sneak himself out of this beer mile again. Keeps tempting the like fighting the odds. This is obviously a rigged league, and
it's not a rig
just
league.
just like the NFL, uh,
Not a rig
they're trying
league. Not a
they're
rig
trying to
league.
keep me down, keep me from winning. So they got to give me slow starts. But the real thing we want to see Andy run it, but the odds makers won't let it happen.
Yeah, you know what? It's kind of like it's like a will they won't they on like an old TV show where it's like you're gonna go through like 3 seasons of like 25 episodes each before they actually like even kiss. And then once they do, they're like, "It's the
Are they
season
gonna
finale. Are they gonna kiss? You'll find out in 6 months."
Yeah, finally when Andy runs the beer mile, I'm gonna
Yeah,
be so
we're all
tuned
gonna
out by that
we're all gonna be
tuned out by that point.
40. We're not gonna care about fantasy football at all. Like, actually, the Communist Party of America will ban football, so we don't even get to play anymore. And Andy's gonna be like 38 and not have to ever run the beer mile. And you're gonna get your way, Taylor.
I hope so. Not getting my way right now.
All right. Well,
So Andy is the final pick. Long.
Andy sneaks his way out of it. Okay, I like it. All right, now let's go to a more objective one. If you have to make a bet for who will win the league this year, who are you picking?
Oh, I would pick. I mean, I gotta go with Grant. I think it's his year. I'm picking him because I don't want a repeat winner.
Never been a repeat
And
winner in TCL history.
never been a repeat winner. And I think he's just got the most complete team in terms of performance. I think he's only got like tight end is like the weakest position. Um, but other than that, I mean, I think his team is set to perform unless barring any kind of injuries, and he'll probably might get Aaron Rodgers back, which I don't know, but
Wait,
I
really?
think
Is that a thing?
apparently he might return. But
There's no way.
he's listening to whale sounds or dolphin sounds or making love, and apparently it's healing his ankle quicker.
Did you get
Going
ball
on.
sacked? That's not real, is it?
He probably is. I
Where'd
don't
you see
know.
that on ball? You saw that on Ball Sack
I
Sports?
pretty much. I heard it from Nick. So,
Oh yeah, Nick's entire Twitter feed is Ball Sack Sports, so that makes sense. It's
um,
like the Matt Canada situation. We need a whole other podcast to just talk about the Matt Canada situation.
I did see a clip of him on. I guess he like comes on Pat McAfee Weekly or something like
Yeah,
that, and he was bragging about how much he's how fast he's healing or something like that. Like he shouldn't be even walking. It's all because he's not vaccinated and how he's got a great mindset or something like that.
yeah.
Uh, and he called Travis Kelce Mr. Pfizer or something like that. So
Oh, he did. He did.
shots
Well,
fired. Uh, but anyway, yeah, no, I think he's got an all around great team. I mean, he's got the best running back. He's got probably the best quarterback in terms of he's got fucking Cam Newton rookie year quarterback. Uh,
we both know how dangerous that could be.
yeah, he's running dual rookie quarterbacks right now. So fresh legs under him. So I'll go with Grant. I think he deserves it. He's a father.
He is.
Uh,
Shout out to Bo.
out to Bo. Started school this year.
Oh, by the way, I
Uh,
asked him last week. I'm like, hey, I gave you a shout out in last week's episode. Did you watch it? And he said no. So I don't think he's going to see this either.
I saw Grant at work, and I was like, "So you gonna get on the pod this week?" He's like, "Yeah, but I gotta like really schedule it out and make sure that my wife's away because what I'm gonna say is really gonna ruffle some feathers." And I was like, "Oh, she's." I was like, "Wait, you're probably one of the most crass people I know, and your wife is gonna get mad at what you say on this
Like,
podcast?"
does she know you? Like,
Yeah, like she know you, and he's like, yeah, but her humor's more around like 9/11 was an inside job. And so, shout out to Grant's wife.
shout out to Beth. Shout out to Bo. Shout out to Grant. You probably never see this, but if you do, like 7 months from now, we were talking about you in October. October 4th,
Uh,
8:12 p.m. Central Time. There you go. That's when we're recording this, by the way, live on tape. All right, I'm with you there. If it's not me, I'll let Grant have it. Although it will be a hoot to have Grant at the champions dinners. Once that happens, 5 years
yeah,
from
it's
now.
gonna have to
So,
come. Yeah,
all right. So last one here for the week 4 recap before we jump into the week 4 awards. Most likely to have an epic collapse in the playoffs.
epic collapse in the playoffs.
Yeah, like a starting Carson Wentz in the final kind of collapse.
Oh, let me see. You know what? If anyone's gonna have an epic collapse, it would. I don't know, probably be Maishin or you.
I was gonna be like, just you don't say me. Don't
I
say
really
me. Don't
wanted
put
to. I
that.
really wanted to say you, but out of respect, I'll say Maishin. Uh,
Will it be that epic though? You'll just be like, yeah, I could have seen that coming.
I don't know. Bill Maishin's first time making the playoffs, so
It's true.
uh,
I did proclaim it to be his prove it year.
yeah, great draft. So we were heralding him in the draft for those that attended because he was absent because he needed to stay focused. He had a great draft.
You know what? That
Uh,
worked out for him. It also helps
yeah,
that you got the third overall pick and picked Jalen Hurts, but
absolutely. So yeah, I'm tanking for Caleb. Um, you know,
yeah, I don't know if I
like
will.
I'm like the Bears.
I don't know if I'm gonna trust Caleb to be that guy next year. Just a feeling. I don't know. If he's on the Bears, especially if he's on the Bears,
Oh,
that's gonna be awful because there's
oh
no
no.
one. I would rather trust like Jared from Subway with my kid than the Bears running an offense properly with a quarterback of that skill level.
I just don't trust them running an organization properly.
That's also a fair point.
They've always had terrible coaches, and they just make poor decisions.
I think your
So
background is a great symbol for the Bears. That's basically a Chicago Bears logo behind you.
guys like that, I think
They
like
even
cheer
lost
to
to the
me.
Broncos.
Epic collapse too.
Tough.
Yeah, they haven't won a game since last October. Like they haven't won a game in a year. Only major sports team that hasn't won a game in a year.
That I know we were supposed to be talking about epic collapse in the playoffs, and shout out to Maishin, but the funniest thing I saw of that was that the Bears haven't won since Elon Musk bought Twitter.
Yeah, exactly. So
So there
don't
you
be the
go.
Bears.
Yeah, don't be the Bears. Okay, that's a good ender for that one.
And Maishin, don't overthink it.
Don't overthink it, Maish. We're rooting for you, bud. All right,
All right,
week four
next.
awards. Week four awards. This one was a tough one. Let's start off with the bench of the week. The X Videos bench of the week, sponsored by Victoria's Secret. Uh, this one was tough because after looking at it, I know we just mentioned it earlier in the episode. Maisha's benching of both. Um, who was it? Terry McLaurin and Kyron Williams, which would have won his game. Those were tough, and those were big, good candidate for it. But it doesn't pain me to say this. The bench of the week this week goes to Nick once again. Second time this season already. It's not been a good
Oof.
run for old Mr. Olds. 71% of possible points, worst manager efficiency of the week. And in addition, if he had just started Khalil Herbert and who was it?
Montgomery,
Montgomery, he would have
Dave
scored
Montgomery.
193 points, which would have broken a TCL record. So another opportunity to get in the record books of TCL lore vanished in front of Nick's eyes.
Yeah, I'll defend you, Nick. Here, I think smart play. Who knew Montgomery was going to put up 32 carries and 3 touchdowns after coming off injury? And Khalil Herbert, the Bears. But if you're going to have him, playing against Denver was probably the best time to play him. So your boy,
Especially,
the only person he has on his team labeled as a dog, Jamal Williams, Javante Williams, sorry, uh, 3 points, got injured.
tough one. Rooting for Javante myself, but yeah, that was one where you start somebody because you like them over what you think will happen. But he even said himself that he would be starting people against Denver's defense going forward after that. So hopefully he learned his lesson. Let's go to the start of the week, and that was brought to you by Subway. Um,
Ugh.
I don't know why, but I just decided that it's a Subway start of the week. And this one goes to Aaron, who started Devon Achan. Big, the reason we give the start of the week for this one is because it's very easy to say, oh, he scored 50 points last week. There's no way he's doing that again, right? He's primed for a letdown. He's playing against the Bills, or a good defense. But he basically had no other option, really. Uh, so he started Achan and got 27 points. Achan, I think, is going to be the pickup of the season, in my opinion. He already had the talent, and now he's on an offense that's just high powered. So, yeah,
He,
shout out to Aaron
a
for
hundred, 101 rushing yards and 8 carries
yeah.
and 2 touchdowns. So
He has very
honorable. I was
go
gonna say
ahead.
honorable mention. Honorable mention. Start of the week goes to Jory Nico Collins, 35.
Nico's
It's a
been
hell of a pick. Hell
especially
of a
after
pickup
last
too.
week when Tank Dell outplayed him, and you're like, oh, is it Tank Dell's time now? But Nico Collins has been a dog for them. He's been really good, and CJ Stroud has good rapport with him. Um, Also, too, with last thing I'll say on Achan, he has very Chris Johnson vibes.
Oh yeah,
Like he's
small,
just
insanely fast.
shifty, just insanely fast. Yeah, just I mean, he's like a. I want to say he's like a world, not maybe not world class, but he was like a sprinter in college and stuff. So he's like he's a dog for sure.
Hey,
Uh,
puts Aaron's 0-3 start in perspective. need to go in 0-3 to get one of the best running backs of the year. So
There you
we
go.
say that we say that now, but
And maybe the
we'll
claim
see.
for Fab gets bigger for next year. Maybe you'll
Yes.
finally be convinced that Fab is the way to go.
No, I
Personally,
don't like it.
shout out to Jory for just not telling anyone and just changing it in his league. Uh, Jory rules his league with an iron fist, though. Um, for the manager of the week, this one's brought to you by Rubbermaid trash cans. Um, the manager of the week this week goes to Aaron, 156 points. The reason I gave it to him is just because he had such an epic battle against Tony. Uh, and a Kenny Walker touchdown. Shout out Kung Fu Kenny. Um 156 points. Another great performance. I'll have to tally up who wins the most weekly awards net for this year, but I think that's another one for Aaron that's been uh, in terms of a weekly award. So good job, Aaron.
On the board.
Don't say I never say anything nice about you. Um, any other final call outs for week 4?
No, I just want it to be over with. You know, tough start.
Tough start for sure. Another tough matchup. So let's go to week 5. Speaking of tough starts, tough matchups. Week 5. Oh, actually, before I do that, let's look at the standings real quick. So, playoff standings as it stands. If the playoffs started today, Grant is the number 1 seed. I'm the number 2 seed. And then your 2 playoff matchups, Jory versus Mega Maish and Joe Wise versus Andy Penhollow. So my prediction of the Andy Meishin semifinal, not possible yet. It actually seems like they would need to be one of them would need to be a top seed for it to happen, but we'll see. Crazier things have happened.
Yeah, that 3 through 7 spots, all 2-2.
Yes, a
So
lot of parity in the TCL.
points matter at the end of the day.
Points matter, so make sure you start your teams as good as you can, if that's a way to word it. All right, let's look at the week 5 matchups. What do you got here? I guess what's a matchup that you're intrigued by, and then we need your lock of the week.
Mm. Uh, I'll say, well, you got your starting lineup in place. I guess not.
I
You got to
don't.
buy,
I need.
got to buy. So
I need
got
to
some
pick up a
tinkering.
defense. I got to tinker a little bit. Maybe make a couple of moves.
I'll say my match of the week will be Tony versus Andy. Right now, projections highly favor Andy. I think maybe Tony needs to do some tweaking, and or maybe not. He's got a lot of buys, so we'll see if Tony can pull through. I think he's going to have a little bit more than 114, but they're like 6-7 right now, so
Mm-hmm.
epic battle. I think we got a lot of good ones, and then also yours and Joe's. I think is going to be
That's the one I was
it's
gonna say. Those obviously some
Stanley
tinkering
Poor.
still to do, but
Say right now he's got a 20-point projection lead on you, but I don't think you have a defense set. Big one there. So I think we got a lot of big matchups this week. I think Grant and Aaron and Jory and I'll say Grant has the lock of the week. I'm
Grant's
gonna push
lock of the week over Aaron. Yeah,
I'm gonna push him to 5-0. He's got no buys except for Mike Evans, I guess. His team's stacked and
yeah. When he
yeah.
can bench Debo Samuel, you know things are going well. Although I don't know if I
Also,
would do that because he's starting George Pickens over him. I don't know if that was an accident or not.
also, Aaron has a lot of buys this week. He's got one, two, three, four.
Mm.
One of them being Herbert, Kenneth Walker, Amari Cooper. So he's yeah, tough road ahead for Aaron this week, but you know, never know.
Yes, for sure. I think it'll be another fun week of TCL. What's your Sunday plans for football?
I don't know. You know, I'm a little bit update for everyone. A little bit more mobile now, recovering from injury. So
Yes, that's right.
I don't know. It's supposed to be a beautiful weekend. Might see what my boys are up to and try to watch some games. Uh, my my significant other partner Leslie's talking about making chili. So anybody
Interesting.
anybody that wants to come eat chili and watch football, more than welcome.
Now
Um,
here's a two-parter for you. Chili, beans, no beans.
I used to be a no beans person, but I'm a beans person. It depends on the ratio of beans. Some people put way too many beans. I think you got to have, more meat than beans, but um, and I think they just have to be cooked well. But yeah, I'm a beans and a chili kind of guy.
That's the correct answer. By the way, if you need deer meat for the chili, let me know. I got some. Uh,
Shout out to Maishin. Him and I both love Wolf Brand chili. At least grew up on it. And shout out to Corsicana, Texas, home of Wolf Brand chili. I went there randomly, and they have a Wolf Brand chili statue in the main strip of Corsicana, Texas.
that is the
Big wolf
most
on top of a
on-brand thing
can.
I've ever heard about Corsicana. If only there was like an armed guard standing there too, that would be the only thing that really. And then the follow up to that is, do you cook rice to put under the chili? You ever done that?
I'm not a fan of that. Well, I could get in it, but I'm more of a chili with crushed saltines kind of guy.
Yeah,
Uh,
I feel that.
Mix it in there. Uh, Also, when we did the Cincinnati chili, that was good too for the Super Bowl.
With a little spaghetti.
Little spaghetti.
Little
Another
spaghetti.
shout out to Mice. I'm not sure if he used Wolf Brand chili that time. I don't think he did, but uh, it was
I
good.
forgot y'all did that. I don't think I ate any of it.
Messed up, man. It's good stuff.
Yeah, I think I did mess up. But we didn't mess up by doing this episode because this was a great episode, Taylor. Good job.
Thank you.
Final thoughts?
This is when you do the sound effects. Uh, Final thoughts is I'm coming. Once my team gets full strength, we're coming. So we've mapped out the remainder of the season, and I think once I can get healthy, I'm dangerous, boys. So you better watch out. We got some players.
Putting the league on notice, I see. All right. Well, you heard it here first, folks. Taylor's league, oh my God, Taylor's team
It,
is
it
coming.
it is my league. I'm about to run this bitch.
All right. Well, shout
We're
out.
done. We're done losing. It's all wins.
Well, with that, I'll give you my final thought. My final thought is trust your instinct, go with your gut, and no matter what, believe in yourself. That's all for this episode. Thanks for everybody for watching. If you made it this far, please like the video. The algorithm demands it, and they're gonna come take my house if you don't like the videos. Please like it. All right. Goodbye, everyone.